Was prostitution ever a legitimate business? Did Roman emperors legalize it? Could a plague be funded by the sale of bodies? Let's dive into a world of silk, spices, and secrets, a world where pleasure and profit intertwined in the bustling cities of the Eastern Mediterranean. Forget dusty history books, this is a story of brothels, saints, and the surprisingly complex economics of desire. It began, predictably, with Rome. Diocletian, a man obsessed with order, decreed that prostitutes should be registered and taxed, a bizarre attempt to control a trade that was already thriving. Imagine a world where a Roman citizen could pay a hefty sum to sleep with a woman deemed fit for the purpose. This wasn't some shadowy underworld, it was a regulated industry, a peculiar footnote in the empire's sprawling bureaucracy. The seeds of this system were sown in the East, influenced by the luxurious, decadent cultures of Persia and Arabia. Then came the Arabs and the game changed. The conquest of the 7th century didn't abolish prostitution, it transformed it. Suddenly, Islamic law, with its intricate rules about marriage and sexual conduct, became the framework for a new industry. Zina, illicit sexual relations, was strictly forbidden, but the demand for pleasure remained. Islamic scholars debated the morality of the trade, with some condemning it outright, others arguing that it could be regulated and even, surprisingly, contribute to the economy. Al-Hakim, the Fatimid Caliph, famously tried to shut down brothels, only to realize that the revenue they generated was crucial to funding the army, a bizarre paradox of piety and profit. Damascus, a vibrant crossroads of cultures, became a particularly notorious hub. Imagine the streets teeming with merchants, travelers, and soldiers, all seeking a moment of escape. The city's brothels weren't just places of anonymous encounters, they were elaborate establishments, offering a range of services and catering to a diverse clientele. Chronicler John Moscows described them with vivid detail: opulent rooms, skilled musicians, and women who were more than just bodies for sale. They were entertainers, poets, and even, occasionally, intellectuals. But the story wasn't confined to Damascus. Alexandria, with its ancient libraries and cosmopolitan atmosphere, boasted its own network of pleasure houses. Dio Chrysostom, a Greek orator, wrote passionately about the city's debauchery, painting a picture of a place where morality was a suggestion, not a rule. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, the very heart of Christendom, prostitutes were a constant presence, a jarring reminder of the city's complex and often contradictory identity. The Byzantine Empire, a successor to Rome, inherited a complicated legacy of prostitution. Constantine the Great, initially horrified by the practice, later legalized it, hoping to generate revenue for the state. Theodosius II, another emperor, attempted to regulate the trade, but it proved impossible to control. Brothels flourished in Constantinople's bustling markets, catering to soldiers, merchants, and the city's elite. Monks like Vitalios and Zosimas dedicated their lives to rescuing prostitutes from the streets, a testament to the moral dilemmas of the era. Now, let's talk about the women themselves. They weren't simply nameless victims. Some were skilled performers, captivating audiences with their singing, dancing, and poetry. Others were educated and sophisticated, able to hold their own in conversation. Many were slaves, forced into the trade through violence or debt. And some, like Saint Mary of Egypt, embraced a life of repentance and found redemption through religious devotion. Their stories are a testament to the resilience and complexity of the human spirit. The dress of a prostitute was a key element of her trade. Elaborate gowns, often adorned with jewels and furs, were designed to entice and impress. Tattoos, a symbol of shame in some cultures, were sometimes used to mark prostitutes, a bizarre form of branding. And the baghāyā, a specific type of dress worn in Cairo, became a recognizable symbol of the profession. As the Arab conquest spread across the Eastern Mediterranean, the trade in prostitution adapted to the new realities. In Persia, the practice was deeply intertwined with religious rituals, with sacred prostitution playing a role in ceremonies dedicated to the Prophet's birthday. The rise of Islam brought new regulations and interpretations, but the demand for pleasure remained constant. Cairo, a city built on the ruins of ancient Alexandria, became a global center for trade and pleasure. The cutting of the Nile Dike in 1067 created a marshy area that became a haven for prostitutes, a place where they could operate with relative impunity. The city's brothels were legendary, attracting visitors from across the world. Evliya Çelebi, an Ottoman traveler, described them with a mixture of fascination and disgust, marveling at their scale and opulence. The Ottoman Empire, which absorbed Egypt in the 16th century, continued the tradition of regulating and taxing prostitution. The Muhtazib, a religious official, was tasked with monitoring the trade and ensuring that it complied with Islamic law. However, the demand for pleasure remained high, and brothels continued to thrive in cities like Bursa and Konya. But the story doesn't end with the Ottoman Empire. The Crusades brought prostitutes to Anatolia, Syria, and Egypt, adding to the existing network of pleasure houses. Marco Polo, traveling through the region, described the brothels of Cairo as the finest in the world. The Black Death, a devastating plague that swept through Europe in the 14th century, had a profound impact on the trade in prostitution. As populations declined, prostitutes faced increased competition and hardship. The 19th century saw the rise of European colonialism and the expansion of the global trade in goods and people. Prostitutes from India and China were brought to the Eastern Mediterranean to meet the growing demand for pleasure. Columbus's crew and Magellan's expedition both included prostitutes, a testament to the enduring allure of the trade. In the 20th century, the rise of communism and the decline of the Ottoman Empire led to a period of upheaval and change. However, the trade in prostitution continued to flourish, adapting to the new realities of the region. In modern-day Cairo, the Bab al-Luq, a quarter of the city, remains a center for prostitution, a reminder of the city's complex and often contradictory history. And what about the future? Will prostitution ever be eradicated? Or will it continue to exist, a dark and persistent shadow in the corners of the Eastern Mediterranean? One thing is certain: the story of prostitution is a story of power, desire, and the enduring human need for connection, a story that continues to unfold today. Is it possible that the most shocking part of this story is simply how commonplace it was?